Hi, in today's video we're going to have a look at the Jeep Wrangler JK model, the automatic transmission, and we're going to change the fluid in it. Is it easy to do? Should you be doing it on your own or should you leave it to the garage? Well, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you might be surprised at. One is the dipstick. The transmission dipstick in a JK Wrangler is very hard to find, and I'll show you why. So on a JK Wrangler, here is your dipstick pipe, and there's this cap that I had to take it off with a pair of grips. It's just a screw, it pushes in and it turns halfway or quarter way, whatever it is, quarter way around. And if you look at the top of it, it does say for dealer use only. So does that mean you're not allowed to change your fluid? Well, let's talk about that first. So some dealers make it difficult to change the fluid, such as that. There's a cap on the pipe, there's no dipstick, you don't know what your level is. Well, I'm going to show you this. I bought this through eBay, no I didn't, I bought it through Amazon. It's a dipstick for your transmission. So it has your gauge in the bottom here and it goes all the way down, and there's your top. Now, this is to do a multitude of American vehicles, or any vehicle I suppose really, and all you have to do is work out how long, like I can put that down and I can hear that hitting the bottom of the sump. Okay, so when it gets to the bottom, just mark where it is at the top of the pipe. Say the top of the pipe's here. Okay, so measure that distance here to here. Take that plastic insert off and cut that distance off. Put your plastic insert back in, and there's your dipstick. You can pop it in there and leave it in there if you want. And that wasn't expensive. I think it was about 50 bucks or something for a dip. No, it wasn't even that. It was less than that. So it wasn't an expensive thing to do. So yeah, you can change your own transmission fluid. And how often should you change it? Well, you should change your transmission fluid, I would reckon, some people say it's 60,000 miles, 80,000 miles, or if you go into kilometres, that would be 60,000 miles is near enough 100,000 kilometres. So they recommend you change it at that. So changing it, if you want to change all your transmission fluid, you have to do like a flush, where you have to take a transmission cooler pipe off and you have to run your engine in so that it pumps all the fluid out, and you can have the other pipe putting fluid in or pour it down the dipstick, whatever. That's a bit extreme, and the reason people do that is because the torque converter's full of transmission fluid, and you're not going to get that out unless you do that, or if your vehicle has a plate in the bottom where you can get to the torque converter and it has a drain plug on it. Not a lot of vehicles have that. So if you change it every 60,000 miles or 100,000 kilometres, what you do is you suck out everything that's in the sump, and then you change your sump, your gasket, your filter, and then you fill it with the exact same amount. So it's important when you draw out to measure how much you take out, so as you know exactly how much to put in. You don't want to overfill it and you don't want to underfill it. It's also important to make sure that you have the proper transmission fluid for your vehicle. This is an ATF FS, and this is what's recommended for the JK Wrangler automatic transmission, and it says 5 times smoother shift. Anyway, so when we change that, it says in the book that it's roughly about 5 litres you're going to get out. So I've got 5 litres there to put back in. So I'll suck out 5 litres. Or I'll suck out everything I can out the sump, then we'll take the sump off and drain what's left in it. A lot of people disconnect the sump and let it run out the sump into a pan. That's messy, that's hell of a messy. The easiest way is get your filler, whether it's in the engine bay or whether it's on the side of your gearbox, stick a hose in there and suck it out. Get it all out and then take your pan off and there's no mess. And then once you got all that fluid you've taken out, measure it, see how much there is, if it's 4 litres, 4.5, 5 litres, whatever, see how much it is and pour the exact same, the new amount back in. Now there will be some left in your torque converter, but it's a small amount, and when that mixes in with the new stuff it'll be fine. But as long as you do it every 60,000 miles or 100,000 kilometres, or even more regular if you want to, there's nothing wrong with doing it more regular. It's going to make your transmission last a hell of a lot longer. And to be honest with you, a lot of people that have an automatic that do their home DIY never touch your transmission because they're not sure, that they don't want to do the wrong thing. So today I'm going to show you how easy it really is. So what we'll do is we'll suck out the transmission fluid down that dipstick tube and draw the fluid out we can from there. And then once that's done, we'll get the pan off and we'll clean the bottom of it out and change the filter. So here's the easiest way, is get a hose, a pump, and a long hose that's going to fit down that drain. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this. I've got another hose I'm just going to check on first. But if the other one doesn't work, then we'll use this one. So this hose was a wee bit big for the bottom of that, so what I did was use my wee gas bottle. This is a great thing, this. And you can heat the pipe up, and that's it, stuck on there very tightly. If I get a problem with it, I can always put a Jubilee clip on it. Yeah. So I've got this can here, there's a 3 litre mark in it, so I'll fill it to 3 litres, and then we'll empty that out and then see what else we can get out of it. Of course, an electric pump would have been better, but here she comes. Gosh, she's quite black. Well, that's it stopped coming, and that's showing just over 2.5 litres, maybe 2 3/4 at the most, which isn't bad. So I think I'm safe to take the sump off now without oil going all over the place. So I'll pull this hose out, I'll just shift that along a wee bit. So that's, yeah, 2 3/4 litres roughly. And that's good. It's good how it sucks it all out. Quite impressed with that. Right, so I'll go and put this stuff away at the road, and then we'll get underneath for the big unveiling, for changing the filter anyway. So obviously before you go ahead and do anything, make sure you've got everything. Make sure you got your fluid, make sure you got your transmission filter kit. This is one that I got, I think I got it super cheap. Got it a while ago, because I planned to do this a while ago, but I'm going to do it now. So it includes your filter, which goes in your transmission. Some people say change your transmission fluid, don't worry about your filter, it doesn't choke up. I've seen them pretty well choked up with crap, you know, with just sludge at the bottom of the pan, because it does suck the transmission fluid quite a bit, as you can imagine. So yeah, I reckon if you were doing it like every 30,000 k's for 30,000 miles or 50,000 k's, then yeah, do a fluid swap, which you can do that way using the pipe, or every second one you can put a filter on. It's entirely up to yourself what you think, but just make sure you got a filter, make sure you got the gasket that goes on it, make sure you got the transmission fluid, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your auntie. Let's get on with this. So here we are under the vehicle. I'm just having a wee look around. I've got let's see, a lot of people that are doing this take all these plates off and stuff like that, but I'm not going to that extent. So there's a wee guard on here, so I'm going to take that off just to start with. You might put it back on again. I'll push that out of the way. What that's wee guard's doing is it's covering the plug that goes in. I'll stick the bolt over there, take the socket off and put my, what did I say it was? TX30. Aye. And we'll start. I'll just give everything a wee half turn just now, just to take the pressure off the bolts. Now one thing that I never accounted for was that the back of the sump is deeper than the front. So my pipe went in about halfway, so there might be some fluid lying in the back. So as I slacken these off, I'll just need to watch for fluid coming out. Hello, I'm back. Now after struggling to get that socket in, remember a while ago I went super cheap and I bought, oh Jesus, that ramp's killing me. And I bought a set of these torque wrenches, like Allen keys but torque ones. So I should be able to get that in. I'm slashing it off. It's awkward because you can't only get your hand in one way. Come on, in you go. I'm just keeping it up with my arm, just to save any mess. Come on, out you come. That's the way. That's the girl. Out you come. There we are. I've got some drip. There's a wee bit there, but not much. Not much at all. Well, that didn't work out like it was supposed to. A wee bit pissed off at that, but never mind. So instead of taking that manifold off, I thought if I whip the 3 mounting bolts for the transmission off and jack the back of the transmission, that'll maybe give me enough room. But as I jacked it up, the exhaust went up with it. Granted, it did leave a wee bit more, so I tried to pull it out and it wouldn't. So I just grabbed the exhaust and pulled it down a bit, and it was just enough to slip the pan out. So that's it done. So this is dripping away. I'll just leave my box under here, catching oil, and I'll give all this a clean up before we get on any further. I'll get the pan out of here, empty all the oil out of that, and then yeah, we'll see where we go from there. So here's the pan. I'll empty this into my can as well to add to what I've taken out, and then what's dropped on the ground is probably a third of a litre, not even that, it's not that much. And there's the old filter. Yeah, probably badly needing a change. Looks a bit thick coming out of there compared to normal, but. And then you've got your magnet. You see all this? That is metallic sludge out the transmission. So this magnet comes out with a screwdriver. It's hard to lift out by hand, but this comes out. So take it out, give it a good clean the inside of the pan, get the new gasket all ready, get your new filter, and then we'll go under. I'll just get this cleaned up just now. So when you get your new filter, get the bag that the old one came in, if you haven't destroyed it, and put it in there. Yeah, you can see inside the filter, it doesn't look very great. I could open it up and exactly see what gets trapped in a transmission filter, but it's quite heavy compared to the old one. I know it's saturated with oil, but it is pretty heavy. we'll get the new one. So there's the new one. It's about half the weight. Now when you put this in, remember this has got an O-ring on it. So just get a wee bit of oil around that O-ring when you pop it back into the bottom of the transmission, which we still have to clean up. So we take this off. So this has been put on, there's not been anything used to stick it in place or that. It's just laid on there. We'll get rid of that into the old box. So I've got my oil container here. It's about 2.5 litres I've taken out it. Let's see what this amounts to. Just let it run for a minute. Jesus. Yeah, that's no bad. Get a wee clean. So there's, whoops, there's about 3 litres more or less that I've taken out of that transmission. Not much, not much. I thought it would have been more, but however, I don't know exactly how much that holds. Anyway, next we'll get this magnet. So let's get this magnet up as we can. Ooh. So look at that sludge in there. That's metal sludge. That's disgusting. And that's all wear and tear in your transmission. And that's what your filter's actually catching as well. But anything that's been heavy enough to fall down to the bottom, it's caught by that magnet. Stops it getting pumped back up into your filter and choking it up too quickly. So we'll give that a clean. So next we take our new gasket, and you can't get this wrong. It's the exact shape, and you just push it into place like that. Now I think to check, and I've checked it, I've already done it, check your gasket that there's no tears or bad bits in it. I remember once putting the sump on a car, and yeah, it wasn't for going on properly, and I eventually got it on there, and I found out there was a bloody tear. Now I don't know if you can see this, I'll show you by hand. When you put this gasket on like that, you see there's wee holes here, and there's wee knobbly bits that goes into these holes, and that holds it in place. Or it's supposed to hold it in place. It actually does hold it in place. So just before you slip it up, make sure all these wee bits are in their holes, make sure everything's sitting there. If you're unsure, if you're really unsure, you could put a wee drop sealant, just a tiny smear, just to hold this gasket into place. If you're not 100% sure, it won't do it any harm. You can clean it off the next time you do a service, which you're talking about, what, 100,000 Ks or maybe less. You can clean all that off and put a new gasket on with a wee smear, and yeah, just if you're not 100% sure, just if you're scared, because it is tight to put in, just if you're scared that you accidentally knock the gasket and it, I don't know, comes out or does something or folds over or whatever. But I think I'm quite confident with that one. So that's ready to go on. The filter, dirty fingerprints, and I'm really worried about that, where this is going. And this goes like that, up in the engine. You'll see when I put it on. Anyway, I'm going to go under the car. I'm going to clean up the mess that I made. Not much mess, but I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to give the bottom of the transmission, I'll give it a quick spray with, I don't know, with degreaser or maybe a bit brake cleaner is the best thing for things like that. You don't want to contaminate your transmission. So if you spray it with brake cleaner, it actually dries so quick. It does. Well, I'm back. So just give it all a wee wipe. There's a couple of drips kind of lying around, but that's okay. That's not bad. So what I want to do now is I want to get this filter on, a wee bit lube on here, and there's a wee bit pushes against up here somewhere. Anyway, we'll push that on, and that's that. Perfect. Ugh. Give it a good push up, make sure it's in. Yeah. Then move in your gasket. Slowly slide this in there. I pulled it just down a bit and I was able to get it in. Like that. Now just before I put it up, I'll just go around it. Make sure the gasket's okay. I can get my hand up the back. Here. Yes. Like that. Make sure the gasket is in place all the way around. And that's fine. That's good. Excellent. So then up she goes into place. Get that. So remember, crank it, but it doesn't have to be overly tight. And I'm immensely happy with that. So, leave it. Clean some of this crap off again. So there you go, 3 bolts, take them out, use a wee jack, lift up the back at the transfer case, and it gives you enough clearance to get that sump off. And with this exhaust, you just lever it down a wee bit, it just takes a wee fraction and it'll all come off. And I think that's quite good, quite happy with that. Well, that's me under the Jeep. That's it all done. Now to work out how much fluid we've taken out and also how much was spilt on the ground. I'll just place you there now. So I'll get my can and I'll pour this transmission fluid in. Actually looks pretty black. That's alright. So what have we got? Here have we got 3, more or less 4 litres. 3, 3.5. That's 4 litres. So I can be safe knowing that 4 litres is came out. It's just under 4 litres. It's about 3.5, 3 3/4 with the spillage I had on the ground, that'll probably make it up to about 4 litres. So I can quite happily put my 4 litre tub of new transmission fluid into that pan and she should be okay. We'll do that now. So, as you saw earlier, we've actually gotten about just a wee bit under 4 litres out. That's a complete pan drain, without too much messing, without too much fuss. So I've got 4 litres here, and the proper stuff. And like I say, if you do it every now and again, you know that old stuff, what's left in the torque converter will mix with the new stuff. So I've got this pump. This is a good thing here. You just pop it in like that, the bottom touches, and you just push it down until you're happy with that. And it adjusts itself onto the bottom of here. And then we give it 4 litres. And that sounds like it's it. The whole bottle pumped in. Excellent. Happy with that. That's a handy wee pump, you know, if you were topping up, and then you just stick it back in there. But that's it empty. So I can put the dipstick in. I'm going to leave that just now. I'm just going to put the original plug back in that was in there. And then maybe when I'm farting about with this the next time, when it's hot, I'll take the plug off and I'll check it with the dipstick to see what the levels are. See if the marks on the dipstick for the transmission are accurate. And if no, I can adjust it so as it is. And then that'll be it. Done. Anyway, transmission fluid done. Got the wee cap here. I'll just stick that back in. There's a wee, all the bits here. And that seals it back up again. Right, that's that done. But I was going to say that if you go to the extent of doing what I did, and I just did it for easiness, if you go to the extent I've got, the only other 2 things you need to check underneath is the transfer case. That's the bit on the back of the gearbox. That's the bit that transfers the drive to the front wheels, to make it 4-wheel drive. I don't use 4-wheel drive a lot in this, but I mean, you know, you still got to change the fluid. So it's a different fluid for that. And then you've got the front and the back axles. Hey, if you've got the car up, just do it. So let's get on with that next. Goodness, that's an awful height to get up the steps. So before I do the transfer case, we've got to make sure the torque converter's full. And it will be, but to get that fluid moving, we need to start it and park. Run it through the gears for about 5 seconds each, and then back up to park again. I'll keep my foot in the brake so the wheels aren't turning, and that'll be enough to do it. So she's in park at the moment, so I press the brake, into reverse, and that just gets the transmission fluid through it, into neutral for a few seconds, into drive, 5 seconds, back to neutral, and that's that done. Anyway, let's go and we'll go and check the transfer case and the front and back axle. So, it's always a tip to slacken off the one for filling it first, because if you slacken off the bottom one and drain it, and then you can't get that off for any reason, then you could be stuffed. So as you will see, there's a hole in this case, so when you do drain the fluid out of here, it runs down out that hole and down it into the pond. This takes a slightly different type. This is a automatic transmission fluid MHP, semi-synthetic. This is what's recommended for the transfer case. Many vehicles have the same in the transfer case as you put in the transmission. This one doesn't. This one suggests, or at least Penrite says this is the proper fluid to put in it, so I'm not going to argue with that. I'll just go ahead and put that in. Transfer case, 5-minute job. So I'll slacken the bottom one. No, slacken the top first. Easy. And then I'll slacken the bottom. It's a wee bit tight, it's a wee bit at an angle. That's alright, because this is similar to transmission fluid, it'll come out easy. I think there's only maybe a litre or 2 in there, I'm not really sure, but it's all going into the pan, thank goodness. Now I'll take the top plug out. There's the top plug. So we'll let this run for a minute or so until it's completely drained and stops moving. The fluid actually looks okay in there. Get it tight, but again, don't overdo it. Now, get my new fluid and we'll put that in, and when it overflows, we know it's full. So there it is, starting to run out. Which is good. We'll put the plug on there, we'll plug back to front. Right, so that's taking 2 litres, which I believe is about right. So that's good. And we'll just get a wee crank up. And that's transfer case done. All you need to do now is clean all that crap off with a wee bit brake cleaner. So, I'm going to do back axle first. So again, make sure that's slack. I've done that. I needed the bar to slacken them because they were really, really tight. So, and these are just your 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch drive. No 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, no, whatever it is. Look at this. Ooh, horrible and grey and gloopy. Where's my cloth? Get this one out. Oh no! Now I'll show you something. Don't get these plugs mixed up. Here's the one for the top. I just had to clean it to get the crap off it. And here's the bottom one. See, it's got a magnet. See all that? That's metal filing. So it just shows you they do wear quite badly. Anyway, she'll be a lot better now, I think, once we get this drained, get the plug back on and get some new fluid. Now, this is a different type of fluid. As you'll see, this is it's a gear oil, premium mineral. So it's no synthetic, it's actually mineral, which is supposed to be best for things like gears. And it's an 80/90. Maximum protection, anti-shudder, and additive technology. So there you go. That's what Penrite's saying about it anyway. So that's what I put in the back and in the front axle. And that stuff will last another 100,000 probably before we need to take it out. Although I'll probably do it before then, because we didn't clock up many miles on this Jeep. It's hardly used, to be quite honest. So I'll put that bottom plug in. Oh, that's tight. Yeah, nice and tight. So you see a wee tip when you get oil or anything, grease or that that's spilled. Oops. Just wipe it. Just wipe it over your cover, because that'll sort of protect it. You know, especially if you're using it off-road a lot and all that. I mean, I've seen these bloody getting rusted. I've seen them rust in shoe. But as I said before, mine doesn't really go off-road that much. So anyway, that's that done. So I'll bring my wee pan forward. We'll get this in here, and we'll see what this takes. That ain't could be at least a litre anyway, but we'll find out. There we go. Now that's staying saying about 1 3/4 of a litre, nearly 2 litres, nearly 2, which is alright. Happy with that. Again, just wipe all that gear oil over everything, stop it frosting, and then crank the old boy up again. So I'm doing the front one. It's just much the same. That'll be tightening, that'll be slackening. Right. Easy to get the wrong way around sometimes. That'll be tightening, that'll be slackening. No, that'll be tightening. Go down and get the grip. Get my basin in. And again, this one should have a magnet on it. Yeah. And again, it does. Look at all of that. That's unbelievable, eh? However, we clean it, we drain it, make sure it all goes in there. That's made a bit brown oily, isn't it? But however, looking good. Use magnet, we can stick it to there out the way. Kind of get them mixed up. Now, try and get this. This isn't so easy. This one's in a stupid place between the dampener here for the steering. However, it's coming. So that's her drained out. So I'll just crank this bottom one back in. Ah, that's tight. That was slack enough. Funny bits here, eh? It must be for a different model or something. Anyway, let's get some of this proper gear oil into her. Here we go. Pump of a lifetime. We're just quarter litres in the bottle now, so yeah. So it was just under 2 litre it took the last time, so here we go. Starting this again. I think I'm going to invest in an electric pump, because this takes forever. However, I'll carry on with this. So that's that one done. I'm just tightening up the plug so it don't leak. I'll just give it all a dry off. Got to nip up to my daughter's to pick my wife up, because she went up with her. So I'm going to pick them up. I'll take the Jeep, and then when I come back I can check underneath and see if there's any leaks, but fingers crossed it'll be alright. I think it will be. So there we go, that's this done. Jesus, that light's bright. Yeah, transmission fluid changed, plus the filter, the transfer box fluid changed, and the front and back axle done. Easy. How simple could you get? That's your axles. I mean, you know, well, I don't know, it depends. It depends on, like, some people do a lot of off-road, and you know, and they put their vehicle through the pace all the time, and their vehicle will need fluids changed a lot more than what, like, say, this Jeep will, because this is never really off the road. Originally that was the plan, but however it didn't work out like that. But yeah, so if I do, you know, for all the mileage I do, if I every 5 years I change all my fluids, I'll be happy at that, because in 5 years you'll be lucky if I've done 50,000 kilometres. And I know axles fluid, the oil's supposed to last for quite a while, but if you change it, it doesn't do any harm. It's going to do more preventative measures than what it is harm. Well, it's not going to do any harm at all, but it's worth doing. Anyway, that's it for me today. I'm knackered, all that crawling about and everything like that. I've put everything back on, I've tightened everything up, so she should be going fine. So anyway, I'm going to drop this off the ramps and take her for a wee run.